We are going to address accessibility for general page structure in Canvas. These standards support usability for a wide variety of learners. So there are 3 general guidelines to consider. The first is to use headings to define structure. Headings are great for breaking up content into logical sections, and you should follow their hierarchical structure. For example, if you want to create a heading, you can put your text in and then assign it the heading level. And you want to follow the hierarchy. So the highest level will be 2. All headings after will follow 3, 4, and so on. So here you can see a page that is now starting to take on some structure with a heading 2, heading 3, and 2 heading 4s. The next guideline is you should use bold and italics to emphasize text. Color is subjective, and underlining suggests a hyperlink is present. And so the most effective way to have text stand out to your students is to use bold or italics. And it will stand out to any assistive technology. Finally, you only want to use color for aesthetics and not meaning. Color cannot convey meaning because not everyone sees color the same way. It should also not be used to prompt students to action. When you do use color, be sure to use enough contrast between the color and the background to enhance readability. So let's consider these guidelines as you may see them flagged in UDOIT. If this is your first time in the UDOIT environment, take a moment to orient yourself. And you may want to pause this video and watch the UDOIT introduction from last week before you move on. But from the UDOIT homepage, you will see that accessibility issues have been broken into 3 categories: errors, suggestions, and files. The page structure issues we will be addressing in this video are listed under errors and suggestions. While we will be addressing the common errors and suggestions you will most likely encounter, if you run into others not covered in this video, you'll see that UDOIT does provide guidance for everything that is flagged. So, remembering our 3 general guidelines and starting with headings, remember that headings define page structure. So if you've used colored or bold font to try and separate out ideas, it will likely be listed under the suggestion, avoid using styles for document structure. And here you can see you can have the option of removing some of the styles or assigning a heading level to it. For example, a H4 would be more appropriate in this case. And so I can select H4 and hit save. Two other common heading errors are heading levels should not be skipped and headings should contain text. So on this page, it recommends heading levels should not be skipped. And you'll notice that it explains the rule for accessibility, but it also tells us that this issue cannot be fixed within the UDOIT environment. And that is because you need to look at the entire page to make the fix, and you can't do it on one small scale. And so you'll notice that they have the page available for you, and you can go to that page and fix it right there. As you can see, we have an H2 under an H3. Once you fix that in Canvas and rescan your UDOIT, it will be removed, but you can also mark it as resolved once you have fixed it on your page. The second guideline is to be sure to use bold or italics to emphasize text. Underlined text on a digital screen looks like a link to users. They will try and click it, and it will look like a broken link. So while it is not currently flagged as an accessibility issue, it is a best practice not to underline anything unless it is indeed a link. Because not everyone sees color in the same way or interprets colors to have the same meanings, color should never be used for emphasis or to try and prompt students to action. This is one of the most common errors we see in Canvas, and UDOIT will flag it as avoid using color alone for emphasis. As you can see, when you go into UDOIT, you have the option to remove the color, or if you had wanted to emphasize the text, you can make it bold or italicized. This is an important place to acknowledge that sometimes when content is copied and pasted into Canvas, it will look like the same color of text, but the HTML is coding it as a different color. So if you come across avoid using color for emphasis and don't see any difference in the color, this is most likely what has happened. And you can just select Remove Color and resolve the issue. So now that you've established your page structure with headings and you've emphasized what you want to with bold and italics, you can now use color for the general aesthetics of your page. The guideline you want to remember here is that when you select colors, they need to have enough contrast so that users can read the text. And so the last common error we'll be addressing today is the insufficient text color contrast with the background. And you can adjust that color directly in UDOIT to use the arrows to make the text lighter for dark backgrounds or darker for light backgrounds, or you can select from the color picker with already approved contrast colors. Again, these are the most common suggestions and errors you will find in UDOIT. But if you receive other errors or suggestions related to text color, styles, or headings, be sure to follow the guidelines provided at the top of each area, or you can navigate to the UDOIT homepage and go to User Guides for more information. Here you will see a lot of different options, but if you select what does UDOIT look for, it will provide additional information for all of your errors and suggestions.